I'm going to break down a bold move from Disney that screams two things: ramped up confidence and a plan to own weekends for years to come. Let's talk about Lilo and Stitch 2 landing on May 26, 2028, and Incredibles 3 following on June 16, 2028. And yes, there's plenty to unpack beyond just dates were announced. So here's the hook. Disney is effectively stacking a Memorial Day weekend and a summer blockbuster back-to-back, signaling they expect both titles to be big, durable tentpoles rather than quick, casual cash-ins. That isn't just a calendar decision. It's a strategic bet on franchise durability, cross-brand momentum, and audience loyalty across family and general audiences. Let me unpack this like a creator who's watching the chessboard, not just the pieces. First, the timing and the no-competition angle. Memorial Day weekend has become a proving ground for high-ambition, family-friendly releases. The fact that Lilo and Stitch 2 is slotted for May 2028, a long lead time, tells me Disney wants to build anticipation, test marketing hooks, and create a cultural touchpoint that lasts into the summer. Then, 6 weeks later, Incredibles 3 hits on June 16th. It's a deliberate back-to-back rhythm, a warm, nostalgic property followed by a modern, action-driven spectacle. What makes this really interesting is how Disney is calibrating release cadence to maximize weekend occupancy without fighting for the same audience at the same time. From my perspective, this is less about two separate movies and more about a coordinated season-long narrative push across IP. Let's dig into the core ideas behind this plan. Idea 1. Franchise reliability over one-off hits. Commentary. I've seen studios chase lone giants and risk burnout. Disney's move signals faith in the long arc of these properties. Lilo and Stitch 2 isn't just a sequel. It's a re-engagement with a beloved world that can draw both kids who grew up with the original and parents who want that shared experience. Incredibles 3, meanwhile, leans into an established universe with a built-in fanbase hungry for more. The strategy is to convert casual watchers into repeat viewers who return for multiple installments and ancillary content. Personal interpretation: this feels like a realignment around durable IP rather than chasing the surprise of a single blockbuster. If you gamble on the franchise's staying power, you can weather shifts in the market by delivering a dependable, repeatable audience pipeline. Analysis: a dual-release plan creates sustained conversation, trailers, toys, streaming tie-ins, park experiences, keeping Disney's brand at the center of family entertainment for an entire summer. It also buffers against box office volatility because the two movies can buoy each other and share cross-promotional momentum. Reflection: what people miss is how this isn't just about two films. It's about orchestrating a seasonal ecosystem around those properties. The timing implies a deliberate attempt to capture Memorial Day momentum and then stretch it into midsummer, reducing the risk of a standalone misfire. Idea 2. Creative leadership and direction signals. Commentary. The news notes that Elemental's Peter Sohn is directing Incredibles 3, while the franchise's writer-producer is handling the project's creative backbone. This signals a balance between fresh directorial energy and established world-building. Personally, I think this blend matters because it preserves the franchise's core identity while letting a newer voice add texture. Personal interpretation: if a studio is willing to entrust a continuing voice with the threequel while tapping a seasoned writer-producer for structural consistency, it raises the probability of a movie that feels like it belongs to a broader, evolving universe rather than a stumble-forward reboot. Analysis: directorial continuity with a strong internal voice often yields a smoother tonal blend between action, humor, and heart, an essential mix for a reliable family franchise. It also signals gatekeeping discipline around what the threequel can and cannot become, which matters for long-term brand health. Reflection: a deeper question arises. Will this balance invite risk-taking in storytelling while preserving the franchise's essential DNA, or will it shield the project from necessary risk? Time will tell, but the structure suggests measured evolution rather than reckless reinvention. Idea 3. Calendar density and market signaling. Commentary. The announcement didn't reveal rivals on those dates, and that matters. Disney is creating breathing room on the calendar, which can translate into bigger domestic and international take if the marketing sails correctly. Personal interpretation: when a studio locks dates with little direct competition, it's a statement. We're confident these IPs will draw audiences regardless of what else is happening. That confidence often compounds marketing effects. Theaters can plan aggressively, retailers can align promotions, and fans can rally around a clear, expected release path. Analysis. The Memorial Day window is a testing ground for family tentpoles on a big stage. Moving into early summer with Incredibles 3 keeps audiences engaged as school vacations begin. It's a symbiotic pattern that aims to maximize each film's prime weeks and reduce the risk that one title cannibalizes the other's audience. Reflection. A lot of people underestimate how much the release date itself influences perception. A well-timed slot can make a film feel like an event rather than a drop, which is crucial for family films that rely on word of mouth and long-tail viewership. Idea 4. Financial and box office implications. Commentary. Lilo and Stitch 2 was part of a live-action era's success story, with strong domestic and international numbers in last year's iteration. The expectation here is not just to recapture that magic, but to build a franchise cadence that sustains revenue across parks, merch, and streaming. Personal interpretation. If the live-action revival familiarity translates into demand for animated sequels, Disney could leverage this momentum to push wider ecosystem content, shorts, series, and theme park integrations, creating a more efficient monetization loop. Analysis. The two-film strategy can compound media rights value, licensing, and cross-promotional opportunities, supporting a broader corporate strategy to monetize IP across platforms and experiences. Reflection. People might worry about franchise fatigue. My take. As long as the stories deliver emotional resonance and fresh ideas, audiences will show up again and again. The risk is real, but the upside, scaled, diversified revenue, feels intentional here. Deeper insight. What this says about the era of family franchises. Commentary. We're seeing studios lean into long-term world building instead of one-off tentpoles. The idea is to create ecosystems, films that feed into series, shorts, toys, rides, and immersive experiences. This isn't just about watching a movie. It's about participating in a brand's universe over years. Personal interpretation. The real shift is audience relationship. Viewers aren't passive consumers. They become participants in the IP. This approach rewards patience and engagement, and the studios that master it will win more sustainable loyalty. Analysis. If Disney sustains this cadence, we could see a new norm where family franchises behave more like multimedia platforms than isolated releases. It also pressures competitors to rethink how and when they release content to avoid audience fatigue while maximizing impact. Reflection. What this really suggests is a strategic transition from event cinema to evergreen IP ecosystems. The question for fans and analysts is, will these ecosystems stay surprising, or will they start to feel predictably reliable? The answer will shape how audiences allocate attention in the next decade. Closing thought. A creative forecast with a caveat. What makes this move exciting is the signal it sends about confidence in Disney's ability to steward beloved worlds across generations. If Lilo and Stitch 2 and Incredibles 3 land with strong creative instincts and smart marketing, we could be watching the birth of a new rhythm for family cinema, one that blends nostalgia with strategic, long-tail storytelling. What this really challenges us to consider is how release timing, creative direction, and ecosystem thinking cooperate to shape not just box office, but the entire cultural footprint of these franchises. If you were in the studio chair, how would you balance the nostalgia pull of Lilo and Stitch with the action-forward energy of The Incredibles for a summer lineup that still feels fresh? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me which movie party you'd rather attend in 2028 and why.